Today's video is about A War Like No Other by Victor Hansen. Talking about the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta, which Spartan won. But did they really win? No, they didn't. It began well over 2,400 years ago, and yet still they won't go away. Sparta and Athens. Here we are again. But Victor Hansen writes about specific topics, specific points. And he explains how the line of battle and how actual hoplite battles were fought, of which there were only two, because the old ways of fighting were already becoming obsolete during the Peloponnesian War. The hoplite battles, with shield walls, with spears and so forth. No. This is when guerrilla warfare, now, that was coming into vogue. And yes, it got to be very dirty indeed. Wholesale slaughter, lies, cheats, conniving. They hardly did a siege. The Athenians maybe did a couple of sieges, but the Thebans did some. The Spartans did maybe one, and then figured, hey, there's no fun in this. Not worth the effort. Because you end up with nothing to show for it. Just a city of dead people. Because basically you're starving them out. But you're losing opportunities to fight hoplite battles elsewhere when you're stuck outside of a city waiting for it to die. I mean, really. Cavalry was beginning to be used. Now, don't be thinking horses. No. When the men were not like the average GI, 6 foot, 200 pound. No. 5'4", middle-aged men who rode ponies, for Christ's sake. I mean, really, it was like Trenton, New Jersey fighting Dayton, Ohio. But Sparta did not have plagues, did not have refugees and sickness living within a walled city, which Athens had. But then, what sense does it make? Athens is a sea warfare. They have navy. Spartans were dedicated to the perfection of land-based warfare. They were army. Why are you two fighting each other? I mean, yes, Athens could project their few hoplites and get tribute and wealth and trade and all the rest of that. And they were dedicated to democracy, well, of a kind. More like an oligarchy than anything. But the real heavy-duty oligarchs were the Spartans. And innovation was not their thing. Okay? Not their thing at all. They trained for war. Hoplite battles. Train from age 7 on. It's only when you're 60 years old that you got to just give it up and become a politician. Every Greek, other than a Spartan, was an amateur at war. Every single one. And yet, during the 5th century BCE, all of them died, or were exiled, or were executed. By their own people. Because when you lost, or you didn't recover your dead. I mean, it gets rather embarrassing. The book will tell you how hoplites actually fought, how politics played into the line of battle, and all about this war that was just totally unsatisfactory in one way or another. Just totally a total mess. You wonder why anybody bothers half the damn time. But this is where you see Thucydides himself was a soldier. So was Socrates, for that matter. And Plato, he was so embarrassed of the fact that his stepfather was one of those who ran away at Delium. There were 2 set hoplite battles. And these were important things. Because if you were one who ran away, your status as a citizen fell like a stone. But if you were tough and stuck with it, even if you lost, you made a name for yourself because you had courage. It's really hard to fight a hoplite battle against Spartans. And they didn't make it easy. But they arranged the line of battle with the heaviest troops on the honorary right with the field commander and the center. Those 2 sections of your battle array were your mightiest ones. And on the left, that's where all the amateurs were placed. The sacrificial lambs. So what you have with the 2 battles facing off against each other, you had the rights on both sides facing the weakest of the opposite side. Aha! And who you arranged where along your battle line, that's where the politics came in. So, at the Battle of Mantinea, which the Spartans won, the problem is you always had to worry about your left. Okay? And yes, during the Battle of Mantinea, yes, the Spartan line was right at the beginning flanked by the strong part of the Athenian line. However, the Spartans knew that the Athenian hoplites had no discipline. None. None at all. They were immediately distracted by the chance to plunder the baggage train of these lesser fighters here at the end. Some of whom were helots, who, of course, being slaves, didn't have anything anyway. But they allowed themselves to be distracted. Okay? They didn't know that their left had already been destroyed by the Spartans. So they came up, and they got distracted, and they ran off to go plunder, and broke ranks, and all the rest of this. So they were totally unprepared, and didn't even see that the Spartan troops, the heavy-duty elite fighters from the Spartan right, had made a hard left turn and were silently walking towards them to their imminent demise. I mean, nobody ran. So when you see the hoplites running, it's all bullshit. Each man was carrying an extra 70 pounds of bronze armor. They ain't running anywhere. No, they walked toward the enemy in formation, never breaking ranks, armed to the teeth, 6-foot-long spears with a spike at the back end and a big, huge arrowhead at the front. And yeah, they knew how to use them. And they were so closely packed together, you could barely find a place to stick a sword. It was a slaughter. It was just a slaughter. Because if you don't... look, it's a different thing to talk big. Safe behind your Athenian walls. But it's an altogether different thing to fight the Spartans in a hoplite battle on their Spartans' terms. Altogether different thing. And Hansen describes them as killers. They were the professional killers. All the others were amateurs, in his opinion. Now, the Boeotians were good cavalrymen, but they didn't have hoplites. Thebans, yeah, they had hoplites. They were good. But they were allies of Sparta. So, the only option, then, for the whole Athenian coalition in this battle, the only option left of them was to run. And run they did. The Spartans knew their grim business, and they did it. And they did it well. Meanwhile, the Boeotian cavalrymen they brought did the chasing those who fled. Because King Agis brought some allies of his own with him. But it's a lively book, and I think you will enjoy it. It's easier than reading Thucydides himself. But at least Thucydides kept a soldier's eye on things and didn't give you all the digressions and invitations to go look elsewhere that Herodotus did. So I think you'll like A War Like No Other. Thank you for watching, and please do come again.